how cooking
cooking
could be a
makes
factor.
a big difference.
Because you can break down the food that over hundreds of thousands of years of cooking food, even in the simplest form, has actually helped us evolve.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is crazy. So Homo sapiens emerged in Africa about 200,000 years ago.
What's up, Luke?
Boom.
Luke Keogh's joined the Facebook.
They lived alongside and interbred with the other hominin species.
Nasty.
So they're fucking all these other things. They're fucking Neanderthals.
Are they fucking these Neanderthals because they can't get away because they're on four legs? The other ones are on two.
Well, the Neanderthals are not on four legs.
No, Neanderthals are so waffles.
The Neanderthals are just fucking like big, grunty, dumb human things.
Yeah,
that's a huge bitch.
They're the Trump supporters of fucking 800,000 BC.
So other hominins went extinct, and they think that it maybe the Homo sapiens killed them, or also they were built for a different climate than they were built for a hotter climate, and they were built for a colder climate. Sorry, and I don't know. They're not really sure, and actually, there's still some of the Neanderthal DNA that can be found in humans. So I've seen estimates up to 4%.
We fucking murdered all of them.
Yeah, we probably murdered all.
We did.
Right, we probably fucked them and murdered them.
For sure.
But like you had societies, but they weren't writing shit in stone, but. It's very easily you could just be like, you know what? Fuck all those Neanderthals. Let's take their shit. Let's kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have you guys ever seen the movie or the show Cosmos? The new one with. Do you remember the part where he talks about the reason that white people historically are more advanced or richer than the African continent or the black people?
No,
because of the animals that surrounded them. So like when the fucking white people migrated out of Africa,
right,
they had oxen and horses and shit that they found in these other areas. These animals did more of the work for them,
right.
So they were able to cook things and feed their brains and read fucking literature, write literature,
right.
Where these other people that didn't have the animal labor to fucking plow their fields and do whatever the fuck else, didn't have the luxury of that.
Yeah.
It's just weird that you can think into just one little thing like that.
One little thing.
Yeah, one little thing, but over a long fucking period of time.
Over hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah.
A long period of time.
I think it's also like more so. I mean, the brothers had zebras over there that can do the same thing as horses did, but they just left them alone. I think it's another thing about. I mean,
okay, no, that's true.
You're right. You're absolutely.
That's a good fucking point.
I mean, they just left them alone.
That's a good point.
Do the work for them.
Yeah, they never tamed them. They just let the animals alone, and animals let them alone. That's what I'm saying. They didn't tame any to do the work for them. Yeah.
Damn white folk trying to tame everything.
Right.
And I don't know why that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is I don't get it? I guess, but
yeah.
So
because we respect nature more, you fucking white devils.
Well, that's the reason you're running around with fucking paint on your face and throwing spears.
I was waiting for you to call me a spear chucker, you racist fuck.
Well, let's talk about some of these kind of evolutionary kind of holdover things. So can any of you what?
Well, besides, you mentioned cooking as growing the brains. When you're talking about 3 million years ago, when they started, when they stopped being able to grab their trees with feet. What kind of ushered this kind of evolution? Did you?
So they needed to move. They needed to move out of the trees. They couldn't get everything that they needed in the trees anymore, and
there have been environmental changes.
Yeah, environmental changes. So humans are actually quite good at. And there are still some people in Africa that's how they hunt animals. They actually run the animals down over the course of like a day. because the animal. Oh yeah, like a human being is actually capable of massive endurance compared to most animals, and it's an evolutionary thing that they were able to.
Massive endurance combined with.
Guarantee you, the top 5 long
high
distance
cognitive
runners in the world are from Africa.
Yeah, yeah, I believe that. I definitely believe that.
Oh yeah.
If not top fucking 100.
So
what is it? Is it Kenya that always has the winners?
Yeah, it's always Kenya. Yeah.
Right. So can any of you wiggle your ears?
No, my wife can, but I can't.
Okay,
no.
so your wife can wiggle
Demon.
because she's a demon. Yes.
Demon. Fucking ears, dog. What is this?
Well, so this is called a vestigial trait, and it's something that is from our past. And some animals, like cats and dogs, you ever notice how they can move their ears and change the direction of their ears to direct kind of or detect where something's coming from? That is our shitty way of still being able to do that.
The little twitch that somebody can do.
Right. So it's not very good. Another one. Have you guys ever done this test where you put your thumb and your pinky together and you kind of bring your wrist up? Do you have this thing?
Yeah, you look at that thing. Yeah.
I don't have that.
I don't have that.
So you don't have it. So do you have it, Ashtray? Okay, so I'm the only one that has it here. That's another one. Yep, I'm a demon.
What is that?
It's an extra tendon? It's an extra tendon that doesn't do dick for us nowadays. But I guess maybe it had something to do with grabbing onto trees and shit back in the day.
Maybe you have extra pinky strength.
Maybe you should give up scuba diving.
It really doesn't do anything anymore?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. So Yost has it as well. So those are a few of them, but there are more recent ones that affect us every day. So 10,000 years ago, humans could not drink milk after they were a baby.
How long ago?
10,000 years ago.
Only 10,000.
Only 10,000 years ago. Across the board. And what changed this, and this kind of ties into what Mystic was talking about, was agriculture and keeping cattle. Now, they're not sure what came first. If the cattle came first and people started to develop a tolerance for lactose, or if it was the other way around. If they had a tolerance there was a mutation.
It is weird, too, because I was thinking that the other day. We're the only species that drinks another species' milk.
Yep.
I mean, cats will drink cow's milk, but we give it to them. They wouldn't willingly go out and suck on a cow's tit or something.
Yeah. Right. So today, more than 90% of all people have some degree of lactose or lactose tolerance.
If I eat ice cream, y'all in the same room with me, y'all are gonna hate it.
About a third of the population digests lactose imperfectly and experiences some symptoms of lactose intolerance. And some people, mostly of African, Asian, or Mediterranean descent, are not able to digest lactose at all.
Oh,
Native Americans too.
Yep. I'll fart and then if I want to clear my colon, I eat some ice cream.
Got a little rocky road in your pants.
I grab my tablet. Nope, I prefer caramel praline.
It's just a white people superpower, man.
Yeah, right.
It's true.
So that's
white folks for white milk. I get
10,000 years.
The early groups, tribes or whatever that could have lactose tolerance and use dairy as a resource, like over thousands of years. Well, this is only 10,000 years ago, but still, it's thousands of years.
So they're saying
helped them advance faster.
So here's a quote and this is from the Smithsonian. The European and maybe Arab expansions that whacked the Byzantine Empire may have been outcomes of this new ability to digest food, digest dairy. They had more resources. They had more nutrients. Yeah. So being able to do that gives you an advantage.
Well, and you can eat Like you could make cheese and keep cheese and eat it throughout the. You know what I mean? They had to eat vegetables that would go bad right away and shit. Like that is a big advantage.
Huge advantage. Big game changer.
Well, yeah. Prior to then, you're always foraging. Pretty much.
So 10,000 years ago, things change.
You're also restricted by the harvest season of whatever you're eating.
Right. Things change drastically for humans as agriculture developed, as civilization developed. Now, here's another one. Have you guys heard of scurvy?
Yeah,
that's
fruit, right?
Vitamin C, yeah.
Right, lack
you
of
actually
vitamin
caught
C.
scurvy in a Super Nintendo video game called Secrets of Not Secrets of, yeah. Yep.
I have no idea what you just said, but we're going to continue on.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to take another shot. I've had like 5 or 6 already. I'm taking another.
All right, Ashtray, are you taking another shot?
It's not even.
Okay, so as these guys are taking their vitamin C supplements,
I'm just taking shots.
So you don't want to have scurvy. Basically, you start to fall apart. You start bleeding from your orifices. It's really it's not a good time.
Jesus Christ!
And I don't like the bleeding from orifices.
Bleeding from your orifices?
Oh yeah. Holy shit!
And
you get
salute, Teddy.
So. Explorers back in the day, so back in like the 1400s or whatever, they quickly discovered that on long voyages you better fucking bring along some source of vitamin C, otherwise you're going to be in big trouble. And the thing is, your cat or your dog or other mammals do not have that problem.
Yeah.
They don't need vitamin C, and almost all other mammals generate their own vitamin C, and humans do not create their own vitamin C. So after looking into this, they actually found that humans have the genetics in order to create vitamin C. They have this GULO gene.
Well, let's CRISPR that shit and get it going.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Maybe that's on the horizon. But the thing is, some time long ago, so maybe this was 200,000 years ago, maybe it was 1,000,000 years ago, that gene had a radical mutation happen to it. And normally what would happen if an animal, let's say something just suddenly has a mutation where it goes blind, and this is a genetic disease, and those many times because of natural selection, those things will die out, or humans or whatever. But back in the day, I was talking about all of these early ancestors. They were all in African areas with a lot of vitamin C available, so they're thinking that it didn't affect the population because they had the stuff. It was part of their diet. So now this gene that affects us now and means that we have to take vitamin C in from outside sources, it wasn't a problem for them. It's a problem for us now. Or I guess if you're a sailor on a long voyage, I don't think it's really a problem.
I don't think anyone's catching scurvy nowadays.
Right.
I mean, you can just go buy an orange juice from fucking.
Right. Yeah. You got to go like 6 months without any vitamin C to get scurvy, man. It's just
hey, man, post-apocalypse, it might be a problem.
Right. So now let's talk about. So these are kind of some of our far back things, and what got me on the subject of this was I read an article, and our brains are shrinking. I didn't realize this.
I've heard that when you get older, your brain shrinks.
No,
just like the rest of your damn
our
body.
brains are shrinking as a species.
Oh shit!
So
Trump.
Yeah.
So what they're saying is this: over the past 10,000 to 20,000 years, they think the shrinkage is likely related to the decline in humans' average body size during the past 10,000 years. So we didn't need as big a body because we weren't in as cold of temperatures. So we didn't need all that mass. A smaller body also suggests a smaller pelvic size in females. So you need
those small pelvics.
Right. So you need a smaller head.
Hey,
we don't need to remember shit like we used to.
Yeah.
So
there may be like I could see how just on evolution level, like we have in the civilization level, like we've got so many comforts now.
Mm-hmm.
That like you can be a lazy fuck.
I remember
still live and still have kids.
My thing is in the past. Cell phones have been around for the past 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Cell phones have been around for more than 10
years.
I get that, but the smartphones 10 years.
Yeah.
And my thing is, like you say, our brains are getting smaller because our bodies are evolving into a fact that we don't need that. We don't need to maintain that big of a brain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried that this could be like that the past 10 years could be a side effect of the intellectual side, a bad part of the intellectual side.
Maybe. Go ahead, Mystic.
I had a professor once where you were talking about, like, we were talking about in ancient times, the oral fucking storytellers that would go around and tell stories, and somebody said, well, how do they remember all this shit? And he goes, because they didn't have 8 seasons of The Office rolling around in their head. Think about it.
Right.
That's fucking
right.
We have this whole sensory overload. I mean, we take in so much information that you can't remember that. That was their only job.
Right.
Yeah.
They just remembered stories.
Yeah.
I think it was Socrates even. Well, he's known for not ever writing anything. We only know about him from people who wrote about him. Mm-hmm. But I think he also was like someone who actively was like writing stuff down. Hell no. Like you're going to lose that ability to have it all up here.
Right. Yeah. And they said it's kind of akin to the way our brains are going is we are upgrading our processor and our RAM and our hard drive is getting smaller, which I thought was a good analogy for that. Now, something else that I learned about, which was kind of shocking to me, was that our skulls are actually getting smaller. The shape of our skulls is changing.
Oh, beautiful skull.
And now
skulls are timeless.
I've heard the same shit on Ancient Aliens, and you're starting to scare me.
Oh my god.
Okay, so about 250 years ago, our faces began to change. So industrialization interrupted the ancestral patterns of weaning and feeding, with babies nursing on demand for years while also trying solid foods under adults' watchful eyes. So when the mothers went to the textiles and we started giving them increasingly processed foods instead of saying, okay, here, chomp on this fucking deer or, tear into this turkey leg.
Here, don't choke yourself.
Exactly.
Here, right?
It's actually it's changed the shape of our skulls, and they're much more narrow than what they used to be. And actually, they're finding that our mouths do not have enough room for our teeth anymore. Ancient peoples, so ancient Romans, actually had straight teeth compared to us. We have much more
What's
crowded.
That mean, straight teeth?
They had room for it. They had room. Right. They had room for the teeth to grow in. You didn't have to
take your wisdom teeth out.
They didn't have to take anything out. Now they're saying that it's considerably crowded compared to what it used to be.
Oh, so that's actually just a bad evolutionary symptom.
Right, because we're
getting by because we have the technological means to.
It's an evolutionary thing that is caused by not only evolution of people being born and being able to reproduce with these problems, but also what we are eating when we are children and how that is shaping our mouths. That's actually changing what's going on here. And it's affecting, they're saying all of this crowding in the skull is actually affecting the breathing of children. They've got what's the thing?
Little
Sleep
asthmatics.
apnea.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
Okay, it was that little 6-year-old who got arrested and handcuffed. They said, "Oh, she suffers from sleep apnea," and I'm like, I thought, isn't that for old fat people?
Well, I guess it's a big problem for kids now.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And yeah, that was something that I had never considered. All right, so just to wrap it up, talking about technology and how that has changed the survival of the fittest and kind of speculating on where we're going in the future here. So they're saying that survival of the fittest no longer applies. Our medical technology has changed the face of that. And basically evolution in humans, evolution is occurring in 2 other ways. Efficiency based. So let's say you are physically would have been completely fucked up and incapacitated 250 years ago. Now, I don't know, maybe you're a mad programmer or some shit. Who knows?
Yeah, like if you're a total dweeb today, back then, like you wouldn't survive.
Right. So that has changed that.
They didn't have peanut allergies back in the day. Because you died from it.
And then another one is transhumanism. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot. We're going to be seeing a lot of that. Like what Teddy was saying with CRISPR. So that's basically trying to get some of these recessive genes out and trying to increase our lifespan and basically hack our humanity. So there you have it, human evolution.
Humanity.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that how we're at a point in society that we've gotten to where we